7th hour. So we are going to, I will start recording of this class. So I started recording. So in the previous class, we have seen some standard Laplace transforms, and which I have explained you in the previous class. These are the standard Laplace as well as inverse Laplace transforms. So commonly you come across these Laplace transforms in your equations. After knowing the background of this Laplace transforms, we can, to determine the transfer function of a system, you have to first develop a mathematical model. To save the space, henceforth it will be called as MM everywhere on the slide. That is a mathematical model of the system. Basically, mathematical model is required to determine the relationship between input and output. Here, at the bottom of the sketch, you can see the input is X and output is Y, and the transfer function is output divided by input, that is Y upon X. So if this input goes to this, it gets multiplied by this transfer function and you will get the output. That means Y of X is equal to this transfer function multiplied by X of S. That is input multiplied by this transfer function is the output. This is what it means. So here, instead of Y upon X here, it should be written as some transfer function, TF, or say G. Transfer function is generally represented as G, whereas S indicates the Laplace is taken, T indicates Laplace is not taken. So in the bracket, if there is a T, that means it is a basic function, whereas if the Laplace transform is taken, it is T is replaced by S, that is a Laplace operator, Laplace variable. So input gets multiplied by this transfer function and you will get the output. So basically this transfer function of a given mathematical model has to be found out to establish the relationship between input and output. That is, if X is the input, Y is the output. If X is known, Y you have to find out. So this is what is the basic aim of the obtaining transfer function of the system, and thereby which you can develop. Once the transfer function is developed, then there is a further analysis. In unit number 2, the simplification of transfer functions are there. A complex transfer function is simplified or grouped together. Similarly, in the 3rd unit, then you do the time response analysis on that. And in the 4th unit, you do the frequency response analysis on that. In 5th unit, you develop the controllers for different control systems, or also compensate that. Compensate means if the required output is not achieved, so you have to develop the compensator, compensate that correct output. You have to develop that you are going to study in 5th unit. So basically here, whatever transfer function model we are going to build, they are going to be utilized further. So here, starting with a very complex transfer function is very difficult. So we are going to develop the transfer function in a modular manner. That means a big system is split into a small systems, and they are, after developing the small systems, those small systems are interconnected, and the overall transfer function of that interconnected system that you are going to determine in unit number 2, that is signal flow graph or a block diagram, how to connect them and how to find out the overall transfer function of the complex system. After that, you are going to start the development, study that system further. So there are number of simple systems which we commonly come across. In mechanical, we have what is known as mechanical translatory system. Similarly, a mechanical rotational system. Then you have a hydraulic system. You have a fluid flow system. You have a thermal system. You have a speed control system. You have what is known as then you have what is known as electrical systems and their building blocks. So basically here in mechanical translatory system, translatory means vibrating system, not rotational system. So mechanical translatory system building block that you are going to study. So here in mechanical translatory system, that is vibratory system, you have basically three components. So in general, for all systems, whether it is a mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, or electronic system, basically there are three types of building blocks commonly. Maximum there are three types of building blocks only. So taking the method of mechanical system, we can see mass, spring, and a dashpot. These are the three basic components of mechanical translatory as well as rotatory system. So mass is called as what is known as inertia element. So mass has an inertia. So when input is given to the mass, so it will absorb some amount of energy because of its own inertia. So all mechanical systems have generally high inertias, whereas such inertia systems are absent mainly in what is known as in electrical systems, as well as sometimes even in hydraulic systems also, we have a very small inertia associated with that. So in mechanical translatory and rotational system, you have a lot of inertia associated with that. So the mass is the major of that. The mass is the inertia. Moreover, as in transfer function model, we are going to develop the transfer function model for linear time in here, and it has to be time invariant. That means the time has to be independent variable, not dependent variable. So the mass has to be constant. If it is a variable mass, then system becomes a non-linear system. So the mass has to be constant. So that means suppose you are developing a model of a truck, transfer function of a truck. So if you start with the mass of the truck itself is variable, that means truck may be half full, half empty, or totally empty, something like that. The mass goes on changing. So in that case, you cannot develop an equation basically because if you make it as a function of a mass, then mass becomes a variable. When the mass becomes variable, then the system becomes non-linear. So that is not possible. So you have to develop a model for a constant mass only. Similarly, spring stiffness. Spring stiffness K, you know, spring stiffness is what you do is change in displacement per unit load. So that is delta spring stiffness K you develop. That is mass required for a given deflection. That has to be constant. See, none of the springs in actual nature may be having constant stiffness. Suppose if you take a helical compression spring also, so suppose it has 1 Newton per mm as a stiffness. So that means what it indicates, if you apply 1 Newton load, the deflection will be 1 mm. That clearly indicates if you apply 2 Newton load, then deflection should be 2 mm. If you apply 3 Newton load, then its deflection should be 3 mm. This is what is a constant stiffness K of 1 Newton per mm. But in real practice, nothing of this sort happens. If you apply 1 kilonewton load, the deflection may be 1 mm. But if you apply 2 kilonewton load, the deflection may not be exactly 2 mm, but it will be 1.95, 1.99 mm also. But that being very small, so it is approximated. Otherwise, the spring becomes load dependent. Stiffness becomes load dependent, hence K becomes a variable. When the k becomes a variable, the system equation becomes non-linear and hence cannot be solved by transfer function model. There are other methods for that. You have what is known as state space variable approach is there. That is not there for your syllabus. If you take this subject for your higher studies like MTech, their non-linear control is the subject. There you can further analyze it. This is called as classical control theory. This is an old control theory which is there for UG syllabus. Similarly, dashpot, that is, it is a, so spring is what is known as a storage component, storage or stiffness element. Mass is inertia element, spring is storage element, and dashpot, that is a viscous damper or frictional damper, is what is known as friction element. So basically the energy gets stored in a spring and motion is resisted by the dashpot and also resisted by the inertia of this mass. This is what is the three basic components for mechanical system. So, but these three basic components, you can identify them. Instead of saying mass, I can call it as inertia element. Instead of calling spring, I call it as a stiffness element or storage element. And instead of calling dashpot, I will call it as frictional element. So these three types of elements are present in almost all type of systems, whether it is electrical, mechanical, electronics, pneumatic, hydraulic, whatever it is. So these three basic components will be always present or partially present. In electrical system, generally most of the electrical system, you have only stiffness element or storage element and friction element. So mass element, that is inertia element, will be mostly missing. So this is what is a mechanical system. So let us develop a model for a simple translatory mechanical system, which you are already familiar with. You have studied it in detail in vibration. So see here, the three basic components of mechanical translation system or translatory system. First one, I am taking it as a storage element. That is what is a spring. A spring is represented by a coil like this. So its stiffness K is written over it. If one end of the spring is fixed and another end is applied with the force, and the displacement, if it is X, other way is, another option is, none of the ends of the springs are fixed. One end is moving with a displacement X, another end is moving with a displacement X2, one end is with X1, another one with X2, then K is the stiffness and force is applied. Then you can write down the equation. See, how to write down the equation? By Newton's laws of motion. So by Newton's laws of motion, you have to write the force required to have a displacement of X. Here the force is input, displacement is output. So the force is equal to K into X. How you got it? K is what? Stiffness, that is Newton per mm. Newton per mm multiplied by mm is Newton only. So the force is in Newton. This is how you got it. So the applied force is equal to spring stiffness multiplied by displacement. This is as per the Newton's second law of motion. So here you can see in the first condition, one end is fixed, displacement is X only. In that case, it is Fk is equal to spring load is equal to spring stiffness multiplied by X displacement. In this case, if you see second case, this figure, one end is moving with X1, another end is moving with X2. So the net displacement is X2 minus X1 or X1 minus X2, depending on which is more. So depending on that, so you will get the spring force as K into X1 minus X2 or X2 minus X1, depending on whichever is positive. We are not bothered about the sign. Whether you take X1 minus X2 or X2 minus X1, the value will remain same, the sign will change. If X1 is greater than X2, then it will be positive. X2 if greater than X1, then it will be negative. Then second component is damper or a dashpot. It is a friction element. So it resists the motion. The friction element or a damper is a viscous damper. There is oil here, and here it is represented by the symbol like this. Once again, we can take one end fixed, another end force is applied, and the displacement is x for the other end. Another option is one end is moving with the displacement x2, another end is moving with displacement x1, and the force is F. In that case, how to write the differential equation of motion is, see the spring force, once again Newton's second law. Here the spring constant is either represented as a small f or represented as capital B. Both ways are possible. Basically, we are identifying it as a friction. So this spring stiffness, damping coefficient multiplied by velocity is the force. Say there in the spring, it is stiffness multiplied by displacement is the force. Here it is damping coefficient multiplied by velocity. Velocity, for if the x is the displacement, velocity is dx by dt. So that's why it is written like that. So if one end is fixed, the displacement is x only. So hence you have what is known as here dx by dt is there. But if both the ends are moving, one end by x1, another end is x2, then the net displacement is x1 minus x2, and the net velocity is dx1 by dt minus dx2 by dt multiplied by b. That is damping coefficient. This is how you develop it for mechanical translatory system, friction element or dashpot or a damper. The third one is mass. If the mass, one end of the mass is fixed and the displacement of the mass is x because of force. So as per the Newton's laws of motion, force is equal to mass into acceleration. So mass into acceleration. Acceleration, if you want, means if the displacement is x, dx by dt is velocity, d square x by dt square is acceleration. Acceleration multiplied by mass is equal to force. This is how you got it for the second, inertia element or mass. This is what is the equation. Then you can see one table here. So mass is represented by the m. It has displacement x, velocity v, acceleration a. So here, if you see, the input is force. The output is as per your choice. If you want output as x, that is displacement, you can take it, or you can take it in the form of velocity, or you can take it in the form of acceleration. See, here, these three are not three outputs. These are not three totally independent outputs. They are dependent outputs only. Depending on the displacement only, there is a velocity. Depending on the velocity only, there is an acceleration. So the way in which you write the equation depends upon your output variable. If you want output in terms of displacement, you write it in terms of x. If you want in terms of velocity, you write it in terms of v. Write it in terms of acceleration if you want it in acceleration. So here, if you see, so the force velocity, see here there is a mistake actually. It is not, by mistake there is a integration sign is there. See, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Acceleration is differentiation dv by dt. Rate of change of velocity is acceleration. This integration signal is wrong. So by mistake it has come. If you want in terms of displacement, it is m into d square x by dt square. In terms of acceleration, m into a. This is how it has to be written. If the spring, in this spring, you have one displacement, velocity or acceleration. So here, if you write in equation in terms of displacement, this already explained, F is equal to k into x. In terms of velocity, integration of velocity is displacement. That's why there is an integration symbol is there. In terms of acceleration you want, which is not given in this chart, but you can write it F is equal to k into double integration of acceleration. Double integration of acceleration is displacement only. Similarly, if you take damper, If you take a damper, B is the damping coefficient. You want output in terms of displacement or velocity or acceleration. If you want it in terms of velocity, damping coefficient multiplied by velocity is force. Damping coefficient multiplied by velocity, that is dx by dt, is force. Similarly, damping coefficient multiplied by integration of acceleration is also a velocity. So that is also a force. If both ends are movable, same equation is modified here, exactly same. Instead of x, it is x1 minus x2. That is net displacement. This is how the mechanical translatory system of basic component looks like. Now, here you have to see one problem. Here, simple problem we'll start with. We have one forcing function acting upon mass. The displacement of mass is x, whereas it is joined to the rigid end by means of one spring and damper arrangement. The spring has stiffness k and damping coefficient as b, and net displacement, because as this end is fixed, net displacement is x only. Net displacement is x only. So that means the spring is also getting stretched by x. The frictional damper is also getting stretched by x towards right, and force is also moving in the same direction, because the displacement will be in the same direction as that of force in this particular case. So this is what is the basic problem. You are asked to find out the transfer function of this particular system. This is spring mass damper system. Even though it looks very simple, this type of arrangement is there in your two-wheeler suspension system. The mass of the two-wheeler is m, and there is a spring in the your shock absorber, and also a hydraulic damper in your shock absorber. So this is nothing but a mathematical model of your suspension system of a two-wheeler, simplified. So here, if you see the free body diagram now, see the force is acting in the right direction. So the displacement is also in the right direction. But this force is opposed by the inertia force of the mass, that is, we call it as Fm. Similarly, it is resisted by a damping frictional force which is opposing the direction of the motion, so that is also on the left. Similarly, the spring force also is trying to pull it back, so hence it is on the left, it is Fk, the spring force. So these equations of the spring force, damper force, and inertia force is written here. Spring force is k into x, which we have seen already. Damping force is b into dx by dt, or b into v. Similarly, mass, this inertia force is m into acceleration, that is d square x by dt square. As I want the output x here, so I have written all the equation in terms of x. So if you want this output as velocity, you can write it, this equation, in terms of velocity, that is k into integration of velocity, b into velocity, m into differentiation of velocity. So if you want this output in the form of acceleration, write the same equation in terms of acceleration. That means the spring force becomes k into double integration of acceleration, b into single integration of velocity, m into acceleration. So you will get in terms of a. This is how it has to be taken. So depending on which output you want, you write your equation in that output. So there are no three outputs here. There is only one output, either displacement or velocity or acceleration, because there is displacement is the main function and velocity depends on the displacement. Acceleration also depends on the displacement. Hence, now from the feed body diagram, so the right, as per the equilibrium condition, sum of forces in x, y, z direction should be 0. So from that, the only one force towards right, that is F, whereas other three forces are on the left. We are adding those three forces. This is m into d square x by dt square, b into dx by dt, plus k into x. So this is what is equation. This is what is equation. F of x is equal to f of t is equal to m into d square x by dt square plus d into dx by dt plus k into x. Now you have to take the Laplace transform. So in the previous class, I have explained the Laplace transform. Laplace transform of left is equal to Laplace transform of right. Laplace transform of f of t. Laplace transform of f of t becomes f of s. So small letter is replaced by a capital letter. Similarly, Laplace transform of m d square x by dt square. So that means double differentiation of x. Double differentiation of x, if you take a Laplace transform, this becomes m into s square x of s. I have explained it in the previous class. Single differentiation means s into f of s into x of s. Double differentiation means s square. Triple means s cube, so on. So all initial, there will be two initial conditions associated with this, but we are not bothered here about the initial conditions. We are assuming them to be 0. So I have not written it. Otherwise, the length of the equation unnecessarily goes. If you go on writing all of them and then make it 0, it is a waste of the space. So in the board we do it, but here because of the other presentation problems, we have not done it. Then here you can see it is m s square x of s. Similarly, b into dx by dt is there. That is one differentiation of x. One differentiation means s will come. Here x of t is there actually. X of t becomes x of s. Small x is replaced by capital X. Similarly, single differentiation means s will be there, then x of s. And k, there is nothing is there. This x of t becomes x of s directly, like f of t becomes f of s. Similar to that. So here we have got one equation. Now, all initial conditions are 0. Looking at this equation, this is a linear equation, linear time invariant equation, because m, b, and k are constants. Similarly, x is dependent variable, which depends on the time, and time is totally independent variable. So equation is not dependent, it is dependent on time. So, but it is time invariant. So there is no time appearing along with the mass or b or x or along with that. So hence it is time invariant system. So as we have defined the definition of a transfer function, that is for linear time invariant system. So this is linear time invariant system, and hence we can take the transfer function. So I have done it. X of s is common throughout the equation. So inside what remains is m s square plus bs plus k remains. Then as per the definition of the transfer function, output divided by input. Laplace transform of output divided by Laplace transform of input. Assuming initial condition 0, output is x here, input is force, output is displacement. This is equal to, I have simplified this. This I have taken, f I have taken below this. So this goes on this side, it becomes 1 upon. So x of s upon f of s is equal to 1 upon ms square plus bs plus k. This is what is the solution for this simple problem. So if you have any doubt, you can put it on the chat box. So far, there are no problems. I hope you have understood. I'm waiting for you. If you have any difficulty, you can put up in the chat box, or you can unmute your mic and ask the question directly. That is also possible. Oh. Okay, how to call this as linear or time invariant system? That is what is the question. See here, this is the equation. This is the equation. This I am saying it is linear time invariant equation. I have explained that in the previous class also. See here, a linear means, first of all, it can be any order differential equation. It can be any order differential equations, and at the same time, here you can see x is dependent variable and t is time. T is time. X may be replaced depending here for displacement we call it as x. If it is flow, then we can call it as flow rate. If it is temperature, we can call it as theta. So that temperature or flow rate is dependent on time. So this function, the output function, is always dependent on time. It has to be dependent on time. See, if it is not at all dependent on time, it becomes a static system. Any static system analysis is not, see, control engineering is a dynamic subject, first of all. It is not a static subject. It is not like a machine design or what you call mechanics of material. So mechanics of material, there we are not studying about the motion of anything. We are studying the stress in the part. So here it is for statically, in static equilibrium condition. The body has to be a statically equilibrium condition. So they are called as static subjects. Whereas COM, DOM and control engineering, vibration, these are all dynamic subjects. There, because the component is not static, it is moving. Or so here the motion depends upon the time. So the time has to be independent variable. So if this time is dependent variable, so time is dependent variable. Suppose if the mass here, you take a tank, water tank, for example. A water tank is totally empty. Suppose I will take the example of a truck or a oil tanker, for a better example. If you take oil tanker, see, oil tanker can be empty or half full or 1/3 full, 1/4 full. Here, suppose a water is continuously falling in the oil tanker when it is moving. Let us assume the case. In that case, what happens is the mass of the water in the truck is not constant. When the mass of the truck itself is not constant, the mass of the truck is time dependent. More the time, more will be the mass, because continuously water is entering the tank. So here, when the mass of the truck itself is not constant, so time becomes, along with the mass, dependent variable. So hence, when if it is time becomes dependent on something, then it becomes a time variant system. But here, mass is not depending on time, friction is not depending on time, stiffness is also not depending on time. So time here is independent variable. So it is time invariant. And at the same time, this is a linear system. Suppose if it is a non-linear system, here I will put a bracket, m into d square x by dt square, I will put it in the bracket, and whole bracket either square or cube. Like that. I will give the example of non-linear equation. See, you have studied thermodynamics and heat transfer. A heat transfer, you have studied, there are 3 types of heat transfer equations are there. Conduction equation, convection equation, radiation equation. Correct? In a conduction equation, heat flow rate depends upon the thermal conductivity multiplied by temperature. Heat transfer rate is thermal conductivity multiplied by temperature difference. This is a linear equation. Whereas if it is radiation equation, it is Stephen Boltzmann's constant multiplied by temperature difference raised to power 4 is there.
Correct.
That is highly non-linear equation. So if you want to have a system, thermal system, in the thermal system, heat transfer in any given system, heat transfer never takes place by only one method. It always, most of the time it is conduction, but partially it may be radiation also. So in that case, a thermal system is non-linear system only. That doesn't mean, then you may ask me the question, just now you are telling how to find out the transfer function of a thermal system, you are going to explain further. So we will modify that. We'll modify in that case. That means just like we have done it for a spring. See, as I given you example, spring has a constant stiffness. That is only theoretically possible. If I say that the stiffness of the spring is 1 Newton per mm, that always is never going to be constant. That means if I apply 1 Newton load, 1 mm deflection will be there. 2 Newton force, then 2 mm deflection will be there, like that. But it never so. It is 1.9, 1.7, 1.8, like that. But still then we have done the approximation. There also, in heat transfer also, when highly non-linear equations are there, they have to be linearized. Linearized means what? A curve is assumed to be a straight line for a small duration of a time. For delta t value, you always do it in maths as well as physics or so. For small change in x, there will be, we assume that to be a linear. Same thing we are going to do it here. In thermal system, we are not going to build the thermal system where the temperature difference is large. For small change in temperature, there will be what heat transfer is going to change, we are considering. And in that small change, the radiation effect, which is non-linear effect, is approximately assumed as linear. So this approximation you make. See, any complex system, if you make, now you have, see, basically the classical control theory is developed somewhere in 1970s. So in 1970s, there were no computers, by the way. So computers were there, but they were so expensive, nobody used to afford them. We have not, when we are born, we have never seen the computer, and we used to be always very surprised by how these things, even we have never seen the calculator also, forget computer. So here, now the cost of the computation has gone down like anything. Any person can, now you have a Core i7 with such a high speed. Even when we were doing our MTech and all, we used to use mainframe computers. This, believe it or not, in a CDC Cyber 73, which was there in IIT Delhi, to solve this equation, it used to take 2 hours. You may laugh at this, but it is true that in mainframe system, this used to take approximately 2 hours to solve. So this is a single degree freedom system with so much of complexity. Now, as the computational facilities have improved, so the classical control theory is also now absolute. Now that's why we have a state space variable approach, where we cannot solve it manually. We have to generate a program and give it to a computer. Computer will solve. So for example, modeling of a human body. Suppose you want to do the human body model. So you can, for simplicity, you can make it as a single degree freedom system also. And you can make 10 degree freedom system also. You can make 100 degree freedom system also. So if you make it single degree freedom system on piece of a paper, you can solve it. If it is 10 degree system, you require computation and it may take some time. If you make 100 degree freedom system, then you require a supercomputer and wait for 1 year for the result. So whether you want it or not, that much level of accuracy you want it or not, that you have to decide. And that those resources you should have. So the linear system is one. So if the whole bracket is square or 4, as I given the example of Stephen Boltzmann's equation in heat transfer, the heat transfer rate is proportional to temperature difference to the power 4. It is highly nonlinear system. Convection system, it is power 2. Similarly, flow through pipes. Flow through pipes, if it is a laminar flow is there, it is a linear equation. But you know, the laminar flow never takes place. Most of the time it is turbulent flow only. A turbulent flow means it is velocity to the power 2. So it is a non-linear system. So we assume for small duration of the time, the flow is laminar and build the model for it. Then only it is possible. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Understood very well.
So we can take one break now, and then we can go for rotational system, which is exactly identical to this. I will take 15 minutes break. I will stop recording now. And once again, you join at sharp 12 o'clock. Okay? Good day.